Hey guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum. I'm your host, Richard Kaufman. Yes, I've been gone for 2 weeks. We actually took a 2 week vacation, a reset with our family, which we do every year. Guys, if you're not taking time with your family, just realize that the small things are really the big things. And that's something we're going to be talking about today with my brother Herman. We're going to be talking about how to build your business credit to where it's not going to affect your personal credit, because you really don't want to mix the two. It's kind of like same reason you don't want to mix two bank accounts. And also, guys, if you stay till the end, we're going to give you 3 things that you can do today to build your business credit fast. But I'm going to offer you, if you buy my book for $30 autograph copy, you will get over $1,000 in bonuses. So I'm going to talk about that at the end. So Herman, my brother, welcome to the show.
Richard, thank you so much for having me on your platform and and trusting me with your audience. I truly appreciate it.
I love it. And we got to give a big shout out to Sean Anderson. Thank you so much for hooking it up. I
Yeah.
appreciate you. Thank you for always providing the best guests for our show. I appreciate you. So before we even get started, because if people see you now, you're an amazing man. You have a great business. You have 2 beautiful princesses that will soon be queens. But your life hasn't always been sunshine, rainbows, sprinkles, and unicorns. So, what is your definition of resiliency?
Ooh, that's a great start off question. My definition of resiliency is it's kind of going to be an obvious one. Is the power of understanding not giving up, and understanding that it is not the finish line, but it's the journey. I think once we transition that we have to cross this finish line, that is just getting up every day and pressing play. I think then we'll be a lot more successful in life. I saw this YouTube short not too long ago, and it was a great example of true resiliency. And he gave it as a football analogy. He was like, "Life is about getting first downs. It's not about the touchdown." Because if you get enough first downs, you're going to get a touchdown eventually. Just every day, get up and get a first down. Every day, just continue to do it. So me, I want to lose 20, 30 pounds, right? No problem. But if I get up every single day, I work out and I eat right, eventually I'm going to lose the 30 pounds because the process is going to make you reach the goal. So your resiliency is changing your mindset in the daily work. Give us this day our what? Our daily bread.
Daily bread. Yeah.
It's daily, it's every day.
Yep. And but now let's talk about it. Let's hop in the DeLorean. Let's go in the Wayback Machine, because
Uh-huh.
we were talking about before we even came on. Philadelphia. Like, I'm from Jersey, Philadelphia. We're a different breed of people. I mean, we're
Uh-huh.
totally different. And if people grow up around Philly, the Philadelphia Eagles fans are a whole different set of fans. I
Whole
mean,
different
they actually threw snowballs at Santa one
at
year.
Santa. Yeah.
So, and then we got the Temple Owls. So let's talk about, where'd you come from? Where'd you grow up? And how did you get into this crazy world of business?
So let's make a long story long. So again, Herman Dolce Jr., son of Felina Dolce and Herman Dolce Sr. They are Haitian immigrants that migrated to the wonderful island, from one island to another island. They migrated to the island of Manhattan. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. I'm an 80s baby. And Brooklyn birthed me, but Philadelphia raised me. We moved to Philadelphia when I was like 10, 11 years old, because my parents, they had their third child, my younger brother, Kevin, and it was 5 of us in a 1 bedroom apartment. So, back then it was a lot easier to save up money and to buy a house. So that's what they did. They saved up money and they bought a house in Philadelphia. And Philadelphia raised me. I went to Temple University for my undergrad, then Lincoln University for my master's degree. But to get to answering your question, with my master's degree, I got a master's degree in basically social work. It was for human services. And then I was running a nonprofit, and I was making $55,000 a year with a master's degree. And my wife got pregnant with our daughter, Bella, who I named my first company after, Bella Sloan Enterprises, and we went on a baby moon in Italy. Now, while we was on this baby moon in Italy, had a great time. We visited like 5, 6 cities. She's really good at planning trips. And when I got back to Philadelphia, and it was time for Bella to be born, guess what? I didn't have any more PTO time because you can't go to Italy for like 5 days. So I blew my whole 2 weeks. So it made me realize I wasn't going to have time to spend with my daughter. And then my brother, Kevin, gave me an interesting line that sticks with me to this day. And I've told this story 100 times. Unless you own your own, you'll never be free. So he's like, that credit thing,
Can you say that for the people in the back?
unless you own your own, you'll never be free. So I was like, well, I don't know what business to start. I'm going to start do real estate like everybody else on HGTV. And he was like, that credit thing that you do, he's like, stop doing it for free. He gave me his second line. He was like, they're going to pay somebody. They might as well pay you. So I got a couple of my friends. I did their credit for free. I took the screenshots of the results because success has receipts, and I started posting it on my social media. And then the rest was history. Then I started charging people for my services. And then I went on YouTube University to hone my skills to learn more about credit. And I tripped into business funding. And I was like, wait a minute, if I have good credit and an LLC, I can get up to $50,000 just by signing a signature. And I got into that rabbit hole, brought that back to my community. And at first people couldn't believe that because before, we understand getting credit cards to be a consumer, but to get funding in the business name, which a capital is a lot more, to invest in yourself, invest in growing and starting a business, it changed my life and so many of the people lives around me. And we built an amazing community educating people on how to leverage credit to make money.
All right, so let's talk about that because I was talking to somebody on Facebook. You know how people go down the rabbit hole,
Yeah.
and I was telling them and I try not to curse on the show, but this is the way I said it. I'm like, everybody wants to have the benefits of being a CEO until you have to do CEO shit.
Facts.
Everybody complains. Well, and I'm listening to this. I'm taking courses. Obviously, I'm always learning. And LinkedIn has some amazing courses, guys. If you don't know, LinkedIn has some amazing business courses. But a lot of people don't realize that, there's so many breaks, tax breaks you get from having an LLC. We're actually an S corp, so we're actually a corporation. But you got to put in the time. You got to put in the effort. Like you said, you got to go to YouTube University. You got to spend, time. If you want the benefits, like you said, if you want to lose weight, you got to do things that are going to make you lose weight.
Yeah, got to do the work.
Yeah. So talk to us about the basics, because a lot of people think like my credit, and I'm ashamed to say, but I'm blessed. I have my bride is amazing. When we got together, I had a 420 credit. That was my credit score. I'm at 840 now.
Hey, let's go.
But it's because of my bride. It's not because of me. It's because of my bride and my Lord and Savior. But I didn't know anything about credit. So what is actual credit? Let's just break it down Barney style.
Exactly. Listen, credit is a tool. It's just like a hammer, a nail. It's just a tool. And we have been taught or bred to be afraid of it because we were using it the incorrect way and it actually harmed us when it's a tool that can be made for good. I want to give you a quick side story. A friend of mine told me a story. He was like, hey, I asked God for a house and God didn't give me a house. He gave me nails. He gave me hammer. He gave me paint. He gave me trees. He gave me all the things so I can do the work to build the house. And I'm more grateful for that. So if you're looking for wealth and freedom, credit is just one of those tools that should be leveraged to build something amazing and great. But we have been taught to use credit to purchase things that we cannot afford at the moment, such as cars and TVs and clothes and things like that. But if we use this product from a bank where they will give you X amount of money for you to flip, of course, they're going to charge you an interest for doing that. But if you have a business plan that exceeds the interest of what they're charging you, then you'll borrow money all day, every day. And that's how, $1 billion companies are made. Right now, we're talking on StreamYard. the founders of StreamYard, they went into good debt because they had a great idea, a great product, and now they're making millions of dollars with this amazing product. And that's the proper way we should be using credit to help set us free and give us financial freedom.
And don't you think it's ironic that they did a study that I think it was 95% of millionaires don't drive new cars?
Wild.
They
Isn't that
drive
wild?
they drive nice cars,
Cars,
but they're
but they're
late
usually used.
model. They're late
Yeah.
model cars,
hmm
and 95% of them, they're not out wearing, you know, flashy stuff. They look like normal people. And I think like I talked to a guy named Chad Ochocinco. He used
Yeah.
to play for the Bengals and the Dolphins. He said, I wear fake jewelry. He said, it looks real. I still have the bling, but I have the money in my bank account instead
My
of
bank
wearing
account.
it on my wrist. So, but one thing
100%.
I want to talk about is with credit is, for instance, like I said, my credit's about 840 now. When I went to
hmm
buy my Kia a couple years ago, I walked in and I said, listen, you don't need to run my credit. I got 840. This is what I want. Can you do it? And if not, I'm going down the street.
Right. The
It
power.
gives you the option because my mom
Yeah.
said, my mom is old school. She said, it's a poor rat that only has one hole. But if you have
Mm.
credit, your options just
Options.
expanded. So talk about
And
the having the options of credit, but not using the credit on stupid things.
man, that's amazing. That's a great story, by the way. It gives you power and it gives you options that other people don't have that can save you a fortune. So having an 840 credit score. I'll put it to you this way: somebody who has poor credit, right? Say for instance, they had a 640, and they go into that same Kia dealership. They're going to spend $300-400 more per month for the same car that you're going to be driving, right? And you're like, okay, 300-400 is a lot, but it isn't. I'm like, yeah, but you're not multiplying it by 5 years, the term of the loan. You're literally paying tens of thousands of dollars more by having poorer credit. So literally, the lack of financial literacy is costing you a fortune, and that's just your car note. You're not talking about the car insurance because when you get car insurance, they run your credit too. There's like, well, if she's not taking care of her credit, we're gonna increase her interest rate on her interest rate on her car insurance. We're not even talking about your house. So you not taking this seriously is literally costing you hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars. Just because you can afford something, you can afford the monthly payment, doesn't mean you can truly afford the cost of it. So we definitely have to take it seriously how important our credit is in this life, in our day to day, and our month to month, and year to year.
All right. So I also want to talk about something like now my Kia is paid off.
hmm
I have my dad's car. It's a 2011 Honda Pilot. It drives like a dream because he took care of it. So we don't have car payments.
Right.
So, just imagine if somebody would, okay, they'll drive a late model car and instead of, you know, spending 400 a month on a car payment, they would buy each month, they would buy a share of ABC stock or
Right.
they would buy a share, over a year, over the 5 years or 7 years of a car payment. Just think how further you would be ahead instead of just having a car payment.
Oh my God. Listen, my good friend calls me yesterday. He just had a beautiful baby. Shout out to Greg and his beautiful daughter, Autumn. And he called me. He's like, hey, Herm, because I'm a little bit financial literate. He's like, can you recommend some high yield savings accounts that I can put my money in for my daughter? And I was like, well, I can save. And I was like, what's the goal? He's like, oh, I just want to save money for my kid. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Well, I was like, there's some insurance products that you can do to put the money in. There's even some low risk bonds that you can put your money in. There's some stocks that you can put your money in where if you just put $200-300 a month, I promise you, your daughter will be a millionaire by the time she's 21. And it's called the power of compound interest, right? So the money that you're saving from having a lower car note, a better car insurance, if you're just putting that money away, since you feel you need to spend it anyway on frivolous things that don't make you money, imagine if you invested and these compound interests. I'm telling you, everyone has the power to make their child a millionaire by the time they're 21. Everyone has the power to do it. And it's only going to cost you a couple of $100s a month. It's not a lot. It's easier than you think because you're spending that money anyway.
Okay. So, but also let's talk, because I have a lot of people now. I've been in business now 6 years, and a lot of people say, what should I invest in? And I'm like, how much do you have to invest? And they'll say $20,000.
Right.
But they're $30,000 in debt.
Debt. Yeah.
And I'm like, and I know some people, have certain feelings about certain big people talking about paying off their debt. But if you have $20,000 and then you have $30,000 in debt, you should be working on paying that debt down, because once the debt's gone, it's gone.
It's gone.
And then you have working capital. So if somebody comes to you and say, listen, I got $30,000 cash, but I'm $30,000 in debt. What is your approach?
1,000, 1 million, 1 billion% pay down your personal credit card debt first before you even invest and before you even save a dollar. Here is why. Because numbers are numbers, math are math. I'm just some bald-headed guy you're seeing on YouTube, but the math tells the story. So I want everybody to process this. No, Herman, I could take that 30,000 and invest, and then I'll pay down the credit card debt with my investment. No. Credit card rates are 17, 20, 25, 29.99, which is 30% interest per month. There is nothing that you're going to invest in as a novice business owner, a novice investor. There's nothing you're going to invest in that's going to give you a return of 30% per month. Nothing. The best thing for you to do is to take that money and pay off the debt. It's going to save you a fortune, right? That's the first thing to invest in, is to paying off your personal credit card debt, because it's the highest interest debt that you have. The second thing to invest in, and this is going to sound cheesy, and people always give me a look because they want to hurry up and get to the finish line without doing the work. The second thing to invest in is yourself/mentorship. You have to. In order for you to become a millionaire, in order for you to become to this next place that you're seeing everybody doing, you're going to have to pay somebody. You're going to pay with your time or your money. I'm going to circle back to that. You're going to have to pay to somebody that's done it before. You're going to have to get a mentor to teach you a new skill. And this new skill is what you're going to utilize and practice and hone to make you money outside of what you're doing right now. Right. So I had to get a mentor. Even though I knew a little bit about credit, I had to get a mentor to help me skip steps. It's like the fast pass. It helps you cut the line. Pay for somebody else's mistakes. Right? So that's the second thing to invest in, is yourself, to learn a new skill. And the third thing to invest in is whatever skill that you've learned. All right, I learned stocks, I'm investing in stocks. I learned in real estate, I'm going to invest in real estate. So those are the top three things I'm telling people to do, and in that order, unequivocally.
Okay, and I love that. So you gave us the three things that already before we even got to the end.
Right.
But even the Bible talks about how if you're going to start a business or build a house, you need to know what you're working with. And a lot of people, I tell, if you want to find out what your priorities are in life are, look at your calendar and look at your checkbook.
Ouch.
And a lot of people, they're like, oh, I don't have a lot of money, but you're going to Starbucks and getting a $5 coffee every day.
Every day.
You're driving a leased car, and 3 years then you're going to buy another leased car.
Another leased car.
But if you really don't get into the numbers, you're not going to really know where you're at. So I tell everybody, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, stop digging.
Yeah.
So talk about that, is how you really have to get into your checkbook to get a snapshot of where you're really at, not where you think you're at.
My mentor taught me this. Again, I have a lot of mentors. How much you're making now is your fault. Always remember that, right? Once we start taking accountability and stop placing blame on everyone else, then we'll be in a better place. So I remember I was doing a conference in March. We started planning for it in January of 2024, and it was our total focus. It was an amazing conference in March. It was great. It's called the Blueprint Summit. We have it in Philadelphia every year. It went crazy. Fast forward to May, April, June, our numbers in our business went down significantly because we wasn't focused on the business as much because we was focused on the conference. So 90 days later, we saw the effect of that, right? So now we even hired more people to implement that. Hey, when the CEO and myself as a founder are busy, we still have built an amazing team to continue to build the business to grow. So what you're making now is seeds that you planted 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, right? So you can't be mad at anybody else but yourself, right? What you're going to make next year starts by you implementing what Richard and I are talking about on this podcast. He said that a while ago he was at a 400 credit score. Now he's at an 800 credit score, and he's paying $500 less on a car note than you are. But that started a while ago. So you planting the seeds and literally you reap what you sow, right? It doesn't say you reap what other people do to you. It says it reaps what you sow. So where I am right now started 7, 8 years ago. I am a 8-year overnight success. It took time, and I was willing to do the work to do it.
Okay, but I also believe, that because I'm in recovery 36 years, I think I'm sober 36 years.
Congratulations.
I believe that we all have a comeback story in us.
100%.
And anybody can do anything for 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell everybody, you can pretty much get out of almost, not every, but almost every jam if you put in concentration for 90 days.
For 90 days on one thing. Yep.
On one thing, because
Mm-hmm.
I believe focus. I love the word focus. Follow one course until successful. But I believe, I'm a big Kobe guy. Now, Kobe, we know where Kobe came from, Lower Marion.
Lower Marion. Mm-hmm.
But Kobe said, somebody once asked him, he's like, because his coach told him to stay in his lane. And Kobe says, I stay in my lane, but I dominate that ever. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to focus and put laser-like focus. So if somebody has bad credit, and then we'll go on to the business side in a minute.
Right.
If somebody has bad credit, what can they do for the next 90 days to start lining up for success?
Okay, so there's a couple of things. What 65% of your credit score is factored by two important things: your payment history and your credit debt, how much usage you have. So let's start with usage because that's easier. So that's 30% of your credit. So if you have a $10,000 credit card and you're maxing it out, that is devastating your credit score. Because anytime you use more than 30% of your available credit, your score drops significantly. So literally getting out of debt, right, pays off your credit report. That's going to boost your credit significantly. So that's one of the first things that you can do is to pay down your debt. I tell people at minimum at 30%, then your scores jump up significantly, but pay it down even more than that because you're going to save money on the interest rate and your scores are going to go up even higher. That's the first thing. Number two is the negative items that are on your credit report: collections, charge-offs, late payments. If you go, and I'm gonna give you a simple strategy. If you go to my YouTube page, Bella Sloan Enterprises, I have so much free classes there, at least an hour each, on how to remove collections, how to remove charge-offs, how to remove bankruptcies, how to remove all those things successfully off of your credit report, because there's something called the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, where it has laws that the United States Congress have put into place to ensure that negative items on your credit report, they have to be 100% verifiable and 100% accurate. If they are not, then that means you can request to get them removed. I'll give you a specific example, right? So say, for instance, collections. I went to T-Mobile, I signed up for a cell phone, and I didn't pay the bill, right? T-Mobile sells the debt to Bella Sloan Collection Agency. So Bella Sloan Collection Agency is calling me, hey, Herman, we're calling on behalf of T-Mobile. You owe us $400, right? Here's the issue. You signed a contract with T-Mobile. You never signed a contract with the collection agency. So you don't owe the collection agency anything, right? So when you get on the phone with the collection agency, never verify it to you. Be like, I do not know who this is. I do not acknowledge this debt. Please do not call me back. Because if they call you back, you can actually sue them. That's in the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Then you're going to tell them to please send you proof that with a signed wet signature that you have a contract with them for $400. If they do not provide that with you, and you're going to send a letter to the credit bureaus also that's reporting this collection, if they do not give you this proof in 30 days, by law, they have to remove it from your credit report. That's just one quick tip on how to get collections off of your credit report. So paying down your debt and removing negative items off your credit report are the best things that you can do for yourself right now.
Okay, now the reason I had a 400 credit score because I did a whole bunch of stupid stuff.
Right.
But I also realized, that if Frank from that company would have called me and said, "Yeah, it's me, it's Rich," how can I take care of this? That 7 years starts again, over again,
Yep.
right? No matter
Yep.
how long it's been. If it's been 6 years and 364 days, and I say, "Yeah, it's my debt," it starts all over again, right?
The moment you confirm that it is you, that it starts that 7 year clock. And what Richard is talking about, everyone, is that every negative item is supposed to automatically fall off your credit report per the Fair Credit Reporting Act after 7 years, right? So if it doesn't, then you could sue the credit bureaus. But sometimes you could just call them, hey, it's been 7 years, you got to remove it from your credit report. So people who have charge-offs on their credit report, charge-offs are reporting negatively on your credit report. If you look at your credit report, it says charge-off every single month on your credit report. That's actually reporting inaccurate. And remember what I said, it has to report accurate 100%. So if something is reporting charge off every single month, when is the 7 years going to end? So that's when you call them on their bluff, be like, hey, you're reporting inaccurately. By the rules, you have to delete it from my credit report. You understanding the rules and the laws and understanding how the game works is going to put you in a really good position in any area in your life.
Okay, so let's go back to the car thing because I
Mm-hmm.
know I've had a lot of people that I've talked to. They're like, I'm going out car shopping, and every place they go, they run their credit. Boom,
Boom.
boom,
Boom.
boom, and it
Inquiry.
keeps dropping. And then people are like,
Yeah.
I can't get a car because my credit dropped. Well, because that's why I walked in. I'm like, my credit is 840. You're not going
Right.
to run my credit. I know I have my credit report in my hand.
Yeah.
I know that if you're going to start banging my credit each place that I go, now all of a sudden they're going to put a red flag. Like, why is this guy looking for credit? Looking for credit. So talk
Right.
about how important that is. And like you said, I'm not a New England Patriots fan, but Bill Belichick knew how to play the game better than everybody else.
And everybody
So
else.
don't you think you need to know the game before you get into the game?
100%. So, Rich, you gave a great example. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about it because I love talking about this part, right? So, when you're trying to buy a car, right? Well, Rich is talking about that red flag. Every time you try to get a car, you're going to get a loan, most likely. And you're going to get an inquiry because they're going to run your credit. They're going to put the inquiry on either TransUnion, Equifax, or Experian. But every time they ding you, they run your credit, it drops 2 to 5 points each inquiry. And sometimes they slam you with 5 inquiries because they shopped your credit to 5 different banks at one time. So your credit dropped like 10 points just because you went to one car dealership. Here's a better strategy for you. You're going to go to your local credit union because look, credit unions give way more money than real banks, right? Go to your local credit union. They're going to run your credit once and they're going to tell you, hey, Herman, based on your credit and your income, you can afford a $40,000 car. And they're going to hand you a check for $40,000. One inquiry. And that actually gives you more power. So when you go car shopping, right, you're going to negotiate, be like, yeah, I like this car. I like this car. I like this color. Give me a good price. Never tell them you got financing already. Yeah, we're going to go for this 39.5, taxes including and insurance. All right, great. And they're going to be like, all right, well, let's go get you financing. Nah, I got a check for 40,000. Let's close this deal right now. And that's only one inquiry. But I'll do you even better to the listeners of this amazing podcast. I like to ensure that everyone gets everything in your business name and not your personal name. So guess what? If you have an LLC, that piece of paper we were talking about at the beginning of this podcast, you can go to Bank of America. I want you to Google Bank of America commercial vehicle, right? And they're going to pull from Experian. So you know where they're pulling from. If you have an LLC and if you have a 700 credit score, right? and then you put that VIN number of the car that you want, they're going to do the same thing that would happen if you went into a regular credit union. One inquiry, and they're going to give you a check, but that check is going to be in your business name. So now you can go purchase your car, and now that debt is not even reporting on your personal side. It's only reporting on your business side, which is great. So now your debt to income is a lot lower. The car is in your business name. You can write off a portion of the car note. You can write off the insurance. You can write off the gas because now you have a car that's in your business name.
All right. Before we get any further, I have a question from John. Okay. John texted me and he said, Herman, why after I started paying off all my credit cards, did my credit start going down because it shows that I haven't used credit cards for 2 to 3 years.
So what happens is when you don't use your credit, right? This is a terrible thing the banks do, right? And he's probably talking about his credit limits. When you don't use it, you lose it, unfortunately, in credit. So this has happened to me where I had like a $5,000 credit card, $10,000 credit card, and it's there. If I need it, I'll use it because I like to use my business credit cards instead of my personal. They actually cut the limit in half, right? Or they just close the credit card. They're like, oh, well, you're not using it or you're not using the limit, so forget about it. So what I do is on my personal credit cards, because I have quite a few, I have like Netflix on one, Hulu on the other, my cell phone bill on another one, and they automatically charge my credit card. And then my credit card, I automatically have them deduct the money from my personal checking account. So everything's on autopilot. So this way, my credit card always has activity on it and it's on auto pay, so I'll never forget about it and it's late. So definitely your credit cards are a situation where if you lose it, if you don't use it, you will lose it. At minimum, though, if you don't have something you're going to put on your credit card every month, if you don't use it at least once or twice a year, they're definitely going to cut the limit or they're going to close the credit card.
And you know what? I've had like almost 1,500 interviews. That's the first time I've ever heard anybody talk about that. Even just putting something like a Netflix just to keep it going and to keep it active.
Yeah.
So I'm actually gonna when we get off of this, I'm actually gonna start doing that for myself. I think that's brilliant. All right, so let's start talking about, like I said, everybody wants to be a business owner, and so you got to do business ownership. Everybody wants to start a company until they realize you got set up an LLC. It's not hard, but you got to put in work. So, if somebody is looking to start a business, because my perfect avatar is a 45-year-old male, veteran, father of 3, business owner, brand new business owner. How do you start business credit and not have it your personal credit? What's the difference?
What's the difference? So the obvious difference is personal credit. That's just when you use your social security number and you have personal credit. We're all familiar with that. Business credit is the credit that's in the business's name. And there's 2 ways to get it, where you personally guarantee it and when you do not personally guarantee it. So we'll put a pin in that and get to that in a second. Let's talk about how to structure your business properly. So the United States Congress, literally in their bylaws, it says that a business is considered a person, right? That's what they consider it. So what do you have? You have a name, number, email, address. You want to make sure your business has the same exact things. So my business, Bella Sloan Enterprises, right? It has a name. It has its own phone number separate from mine. It has its own business address. Now everybody can afford to go get rent and get a building. You have options. You get something called a registered agent, right? Where your mail goes to a professional office building and you're renting the address of that business. This costs something like $50 to $100 per year. So just Google registered agent in whatever state that you're in, and you'll find business addresses that you can use because you want to separate your business from your personal. So now we have a name, we have a business phone number. You can go to Google Business and you can get a Google Business phone number for like $10 a month, or Ring Central. You can get another place you can get a business phone number. So now I have a business phone number, I have a business name, I have a business address. Now you need to have a real business website and a real business email, right? And you can get that from Google also. So my business email is info@bellasloanenterprises.com. Super professional, right? Not bellasloan@gmail, not bellasloan @hotmail, a real business email address. Now I have this demographic information. I'm going to put it on the birth certificate, right? So my parents knew my name, number, email, my address before I was born, and they put it on the birth certificate. What is the birth certificate for a business? Your LLC documentation, right? Now you're going to put that stuff on the LLC, because when people first started, they were excited to see me flash platinum cards and stuff on my Instagram. They're like, well, let me go get an LLC, and they put their home address, they put their personal phone number. No, you have to keep that separate. Now that you have the LLC set up properly, you're going to go get the social security number for your business, which is called your EIN. You're going to go to iris.gov and get that done for free. Now your business is set up properly, and now you're going to start relationships with different lenders, right? You're going to take your LLC, your EIN, and you're going to go to different lending institutions. I tell people start at credit unions first, then you go to regional banks. Regional banks are banks that are in different pockets of the country, but not everywhere, such as Key Bank, PNC, Truist. And then you're going to start relationships with national banks, such as Chase, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America. So you should have at least three different bank accounts, right? So you're starting those different relationships, just like you would on the personal side. And now these brand new banks, Herman, how are you getting these type of limits in terms of funding? Because that's why we brought you down a rabbit hole. Having good credit on the personal side helps you build on the business side, because your business, Bella Sloan, when I first got 50,000 for Bella Sloan, I walked Bella Sloan into the bank because it's its own person. And the bank was like, we don't know Bella Sloan, this baby, you want us to give us $50,000? Well, Herman, you got good credit. Why don't you co-sign? That is personally guaranteed for that business. So they gave Bella Sloan its first $50,000 so that we can invest in real estate, because I was going to co-sign it. Now that debt is not on my personal credit. My business has that debt, not Herman. I'm just co-signing for it. And those were one of the first ways that I got funding. And remember, that was just one bank. 50,000 wasn't enough for me to do my first deal. I went to another bank and got another 25,000. That was just enough for me to do my first deal and flip my first real estate property. And that's
I
how
want
I
to
got
ask
my
you a
first
question real
funding.
quick. I want to ask a
hmm
question real quick because,
hmm
like, when I first started I was thinking about going to LLC, and then because of different financial things with disability, I went with a corporation, so they're not going to affect me my personal
hmm
money wise. But
hmm
like, I have a Bank of America account, but I
hmm
didn't personal account, but I didn't want to have a business account in my name in the same bank. So I went to Santander Bank.
Yep.
So, and I think for me, it's like, okay, I don't want to mix businesses. It's kind of like I don't want to have two houses that I'm living in at the same time. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
Is that
100%.
what you're talking about? Like that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Have different relationship with different lenders. I do not have my personal and business account at the same bank. My business bank accounts are different banks than what my personal are. I definitely keep them separate, 100%.
So then, how do you, even if you're just starting out with a business, how do you start building your business credit? Because some people might not have a good credit score where they can get 50,000. But how do
hmm
you start off small eventually? Because eventually, if you do the right things, it'll grow to where you get to where you want to be. So, what are some of the small steps you take when you're first starting out, and you might not have good credit?
Right. So I have to stress this. No matter what, you got to get your credit together. I don't want to skip that part, because it's the cheat code to helping you get funding for the business. Now to get funding on the business side, if you have bad credit, it's a longer game, right? So there's two things. There's something called fintech banks. Fintech banks, they look to see how much money the business actually made. This is for people who already have a business that's running. And they actually sync with your bank account for your business, and they check about, oh, he's making 10, 20, $30,000 a month. We'll give him a business credit card. Such banks that do that is a bank called Capital on Tap is one, or like Divvy, which is called Bill right now, DIVVY. They'll give you funding that way. The other way to get business funding if you have bad credit is through something where it's called your business credit score. Just like you have your personal credit score, you have to build up your business credit score to be eligible to get this. So your business credit score goes from 0 to 100 on the Paydex score, right? Paydex. And you have to have your DUNS number to do that, DUNS, right? You can go to dunsandbradstreet.com and you'll get a free DUNS number. And now you have to start putting stuff on your DUNS report to build up that business credit score, just like you put something on your Social Security to build up your personal credit score. Now, a couple of places that you can go to is Uline, the letter U, Line.
Yeah.
Uline is a place where you can go buy a couple of batteries. You want to spend 50 to 70 bucks, pay cash on your personal bank account, whatever. And they're going to put a net 30 on your business credit profile, right? Because they see that you're a new business and you don't have any business credit score. That's where you want to go first, right? Another place you can go to is the Creative CEO. That's a website that's kind of like, let's say Staples, right? So you buy your office supplies from that website. And a third place you can go to is Tiger Direct. You can buy your laptop from there. Another place you can go to is Shirtski, right? The word shirt and then SY, Shirtski. You're going to purchase things off these websites and they're going to put net 30 accounts on your business credit profile. And that's going to boost you up to 80 credit score. You need at least 5 of these accounts. Once you're at an 80 paydex score, you're then going to go to Sam's Club. This is crazy. Sam's Club has a MasterCard that if you have an 80 paydex score on the business card, they'll give you real money. They'll give you a MasterCard up to $10,000. They'll give you no personal guarantee, even if you have a bad credit. If you have an 80 paydex score, you'll be able to get that business credit card. But the hack, though, is to have really good personal credit, 680 and above. You have a good credit profile. That's going to expedite that process of hurrying you up to get even more funding.
So give me the real, give me the skinny. You know, every day I'm either on social media or I'm like watching things on TV, and I see all these credits. You know, business credit here. Get this business credit card. Get this business credit card. Is there any one better than another? Because I see somebody Capital One, you know, and you see all these beautiful things, but you're like,
Right.
oh, there's like 40 of them. Which one is the real deal?
So the real deal is, so you guys don't get caught up in anything. If Navy Federal, which is a smaller bank, gave you $10,000, or Bank of America, a bigger bank, gave you $10,000, it's the same $10,000. The only difference you should be concerned about when you're trying to get funding in regards to what lender is better is the rewards or the benefits you get by doing business with them. So like American Express, right? They gave me a business credit card, $250,000 limit on my platinum, right? Spending power. I use that card because every dollar I spend, they give me points, right? If I use that card to go to dinner, if I got the gold card and I used to go to dinner, for every dollar spent, they gave me 5 times the points. So these points are the points that I use to travel for free. That's a benefit. Or another benefit is if I use my Sapphire business credit card, they're actually giving me money. They're giving me cash back, 1%, 2% of whatever I use. So that's the only real differentiator in regards to which lending institution is better for you is the rewards that they give you for you actually participating and benefiting from them. So me, I would send people to credit unions first because they give out the most money, but they also have cash back rewards. The last thing I want to say about that is definitely partner with a bank, because I call banks my partners. Banks who give you the longest 0% interest. So like Chase, they'll give you 12 months, 0% interest. Truist Bank has a credit card that goes 18 months, 0% interest. Ameris, Ameris, is a bank in Atlanta, Georgia. They give you 18 months, 0%. I want to do businesses with banks that give me 18 months cushion to figure out things in my business, and I only have to pay 0% for that time period. Herman, what does 0% really mean? So if I got a $10,000 business credit card and I max it out, it's only going to cost me $100 a month. If I have a $20,000 credit card, it's only going to cost me $200 a month to leverage $20,000. And if you have a business and I gave you $20,000 and you don't know how to turn that into more than $200 a month, you should not be an entrepreneur.
Okay, so I got a question from Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica asks, she says, I know people that have started businesses and they're not making a lot of money to start out with, but they get a credit card where it costs them to have that credit card.
Yes.
Is that the smart thing to do if you're just starting out? And should you be paying to have a credit card?
So some credit cards have annual fees. such as the American Express I just talked about. The annual fee is about $695. Herman, that's a lot of money. Right. But for me, it's worth it. For another business owner, it isn't. There are 99% of the credit cards are free for you to use. All you got to do is pay the minimum payments. Me, when I have, I think the American Express is the only one that I have where the annual fee is worth it to me because they give me $200 a year in Uber credits. I use Uber, right? So effectively, the rate went down to $400 a year for me to use it. They gave me the option of my Hulu account. They'll pay for it for a year. So that's another $200 they gave me. They give me these different benefits for using the card where the effective rate goes down. I travel a lot for business. So I'm able to access the American Express Lounge where I get free drinks, free food, free Wi-Fi. I definitely spend more than $400 or $500 a year in food with all the traveling that I do. So there's a benefit to getting it, and sometimes for new business owners, I don't recommend it if you're not already making money because it's just not worth it. Just get a card that is free, but that will pay you for using it, such as cashback rewards or points that you can use at a later time.
Okay, so to reiterate,
Uh,
what if Craig started his business today, which is I think today's the 21st of August or 22nd, 2024. If Craig was starting his business today, what would be your top three pieces of advice to build credit?
the top three pieces of advice is to number one, we gave the first one to start the business and do the document, get the paperwork. That paperwork alone is going to save you on taxes on the personal side. That's another class though. So get the paperwork. Number two, start relationships with different lending institutions because that's going to maximize how much funding that you can get. Number three, you want to ensure that you have good credit and have a good business plan. The combination of your good credit and a good business plan is going to expedite you being successful in the business that you have.
All right. So, what is going on in your world?
Uh-huh.
How can we support your mission? And how do we get in touch with you?
So we're in 47 minutes into this call, and I can listen. I can go deeper and get more granular because I know this was a lot of high level, high surface information. If you would like to tap in with me, I post every single morning on my Instagram. Haitian, I have it on the screen right now. Haitian _CEO. You can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on TikTok. I love giving out these daily information because I tell people you're going to pay. You're going to pay with your money. You're going to pay with your time. And if you don't have money to pay, I give a lot of free information. You just have to digest the information and execute on it. That's you paying with your time. I have longer form contact on my YouTube channel, Bella Sloan Enterprises, where we teach for hours. And we have many different coaches that talk about taxes, real estate, credit, business that we would love to help you out with. And I have an amazing community called Bella Sloan Academy, where we meet every single Wednesday night and we're teaching people about financial literacy. And it's an amazing community. It's only $50 a month. We would love to have you and to help you guys start your journey to your financial freedom.
Okay. Now, that's normally the last question I ask,
Uh-huh.
but because it's you, I have one more question to ask.
Talk to me,
Um,
Rich. Talk to me.
we're both men of faith,
Yes.
and I believe that if you don't feel close to God, you're the one that moved. He's the Alpha,
Mm-hmm.
the Omega, the beginning and the end.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody out there is struggling with their faith, what
Mm-hmm.
is something they can do in the next 24 hours to find some peace? Because, you start looking at social media, you start looking at news, you're hearing all negative stuff, politics and finances. And a lot of us are feeling unpeaceful or unrest. They feel an unrest.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is something somebody can do in the next 24 hours to find peace in their life again?
Okay. Um, it's all about taking the first step. Number one, I have a tagline called Audit Your Circle. And I'm glad you brought up social media. Some people say that, oh, social media is toxic. I'm sick of social media. It's not a good thing. Remember, social media has something that's called a news feed. It's called a feed. And you dictate what you see by who you follow And the algorithm, you dictate it. It is created, the algorithm is created to give you what you require. Social media is not toxic to me because I follow positive things. So only positive things come on my timeline. Educational things come on my timeline. Funny things come on my timeline. Not toxicity, because I decided who to follow. I decided to follow Jesus Christ as my personal savior, right? So there's certain things that I'm protected from. I'm in control of that, right? So audit your circle, edit who is in your circle, right? Who are the people that are bringing positivity into your life? Who are you giving your time to on your timeline that is in your real life? Um, just like we talked about being consistent with every other thing in our life, being consistent with your relationship with Christ is crucial and important. Let's start small. Tomorrow, spend 5 minutes with Christ. 5. The day after that, give him another 5. Before you know it, when you're in that deep rabbit hole, you're going to see that 5 minute automatically turns to 10, to 20, to 30, to 40. That's what you're going to do in the next 24 hours. Audit your circle and set 5 minutes aside for Christ, because I promise you, you draw nigh unto him, he will draw nigh unto you.
And that's one thing I just for the last couple of seconds I want to talk about is sometimes a lot of people go, I ain't got 5 minutes. But like I'm 55 years old and I get up in the middle of the night and I go to the bathroom. When I get back in bed and I'm like, Lord, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for waking me up. I'm going to fall right back asleep, but I'm not asking for anything. Mm-hmm. I just want to say thank you. So that might only be a minute out of my night, but still that 1 minute, it's quiet. The house is quiet. There's nobody there. It's just you and him. So even if you can only do a minute is better than nothing. Because imagine like my dad passed a couple years ago. If I could have a minute with my dad, how much that would mean. So imagine if you get a call, if you're a dad and your daughter calls you, Daddy, I just wanted to say I love you.
I love
Good
you.
night. And it might be a 15-second call, but you're going to feel so, your heart's going to feel so good. So maybe the Lord just needs to hear from you, maybe a minute a night.
Tonight. Yeah. And that's it. And then that relationship grows. Remember, he's a relationship entity, and he seeks for that relationship with you, and all relationships grow over time. So just start to call your Father in heaven and spend 1, 2, 3 minutes with him. And I promise the conversations will get longer and longer as your relationship grows, and he will give you peace that surpasses all understanding.
And if you believe, like I believe, if my Father owns it all, there's no way I could be broke. There's no way I could be broke if my Father owns it all. And as long as I realize he owns it all, he's just letting me borrow it.
Right.
Like if he lets me borrow the Kia, he can let me borrow the Lambo.
100%.
If he can let me borrow my house that I have, he'll let me borrow the beach house.
1,000,000%. Yeah.
As long as I know that I don't own it. It's all his.
It's all his, definitely.
So I want to thank Sean Anderson. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for hooking us up. Herm, thank you so much. I'm following you on every social channel. Your TikTok is fire. Your Instagram is fire. And I just wanted to say, I don't think I said it before. We had something scheduled earlier, but you had to reschedule. What was the rescheduling for?
Oh, traveling for business. I'm always traveling for business. Like right now I'm in Atlanta. I get hired to come and talk at different universities or platforms, but I finally made some time, and I'm glad that you trusted me, the comeback coach, to come and talk to your amazing community.
And I love it, Herm. And hopefully we can build a generational relationship from this moment on. Guys, as you know, I end my show the same way every time. Whether you like him, whether you don't like him, I'm a big Joel Osteen guy. I love Joel. And something he says is that every day you wake up, you can be a victim or you could be a victor. And if you listen to this show, you're no longer a victim of your past. You're a victor of your present and your future.
And your
future. Guys, thank you for showing up every day. I love you guys. Herman, I love you, brother. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Richard, the comeback coach, Kaufman. Have an amazing day. Jesus loves you, and I love you too.
Amen. And guys, remember, vertical momentum, the only way to go is up. I love you guys. Have an amazing week.